WNDS Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Stripes, featuring the best Candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now in our 15th season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Stripes, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Dick Lutz with Mike Moore from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. It is week 2 of our first ladder series of the brand new season. Last week, just 5 pins separated our 2 bowlers.
Yeah, Mike Poulin's going to have to step it up another few pins at least this week. He'll be taking on the very explosive Haverhill bowler, Chris Sargent, who is a former Tournament of Champion winners right here on WNDS.
Last week, it was Mike Poulin defeating Jim Gregatis 359 to 354. Let's meet our bowlers for this match this afternoon. First, our number 5 seed, last week's winner, Mike Poulin from Newington, New Hampshire.
And Leda Lanes, formerly his home center, now he bowls at the Bowlerama in Portsmouth. And Mike Poulin coming in with an average of 125 so far this year. High single, just one shy of 200 at 199, 477 his high triple. Lives in Newington and bowls out of Portsmouth.
649 was his roll-off score. It earned him the number 5 seed in this ladder series. And he'll be taking on our number 3 seed, Chris Sargent from Haverhill, Massachusetts.
That's right, from a very well-known bowling family up in the Merrimack Valley. Chris Sargent's average 129. Also a high single of 199, 530 for a high triple. And Exeter Lanes is where Chris does his bowling these days.
Let's get right to it. It's Mike Poulin and Chris Sargent. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. We're underway from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire right after this. Ready to go with our second match of this first ladder series of the brand new season for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. There you see the seeds for this series. Mike Poulin winning last week over Jim Gregatis. His opponent this week, Chris Sargent, Bruno DeFeo, and Bob Betancourt waiting in the wings, and Mike Poulin will be first to bowl here this afternoon in this match against Chris Sargent, and we're ready to go with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Happy to have you with us as we are each and every week for our great series of Candlepin bowling. And that's a great way to start right there. He's on his way to a 300. Mike Poulin starts out with a strike.
The 300 game, huh? Never been done in the game of candlepins. They actually set up a machine to do it a number of years ago. I'm not sure why they were doing that, but there it goes.
Whoops, don't speak too soon. He's still got a shot at some bonus money here.
We didn't give any away last week, did we?
Nope.
So we left a bigger tip at the Holla restaurant.
He starts out with a double mark. A spare inside a strike for Mike Poulin, and now Chris Sargent.
He's going to need it all against Chris Sargent, who's averaging 129, as we mentioned at the beginning of the program. A very explosive bowler, a lot of speed, a very live ball, as the bowlers call it. Yep.
He's on his way to a 300.
No, don't jinx him. Bowlers are a very superstitious lot, Dick.
There it is.
Great way to start.
Both bowlers open with strikes. Now one bounce down.
Skip lob, a legal shot.
One of the letters that we're going to read during the course of this program has to do with lobs. Mike will put you to the test.
Okay.
Not able to convert the spare. And a 9 box for Chris Sargent, 27 through the first 2. A couple of letters. We've been getting lots of letters over the course of the past several weeks, and we encourage you to write to us at WNDS TV, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. As we watch Mike Poulin shoot for some bonus money, he leaves himself a little bit of a split, or does he? It'll be the 1 and the 7 still standing. And an opportunity for bonus money here for Mike Poulin.
Not an easy shot. No wood to help him out.
And he'll not make it. Frank Doherty of Revere writes in wanting to know why we show the repeat show on the following Saturday after we show the original show on a Sunday. Well, it's done for a couple of reasons, Mr. Doherty. A 9 box for Mike Poulin.
Save money?
Well, it's programming, but it's also an opportunity for people who miss it the first time around on a Sunday to catch it on the Saturday. For people, those of you who do watch it on Sunday, obviously it's a second opportunity for you to see it. But very highly rated show in both cases on WNDS TV, and it's been very successful, and you don't mess with a successful formula. And that's why we've been doing it, and we'll continue to do it. And understand your question and appreciate your watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. An opportunity for another mark goes by the boards for Mike Poulin. A very confused and disgusted viewer in Hampstead, New Hampshire. That's how she signed it. No name. Writes in inquiring about the lob rule, Mike. What is the lob rule? Why isn't it enforced? Why don't we have a lob judge?
Well, we don't have any problem with lobbing. It's very, very rarely. I think in the last couple of years, I may have seen 2 or 3 illegal lob shots. The lob line is in place 10 feet from the foot foul line. If the ball doesn't make contact with the lane before the lob line, it is declared a dead ball. However, as our viewer points out, there is nobody here to actually sit on a chair right there at the line 10 feet out on another lane to keep an eye on it. Honestly, it's not a problem with most professional bowlers. It's kind of policed amongst themselves.
One of the questions I recall from one of the other letters that I did not just read addresses the point of policing it amongst themselves. The question was, is each bowler responsible for himself, or is the opponent watching the other guy?
Bottom line, in a perfect world, the bowler has the final say or the ultimate decision.
For himself.
For himself, that's right.
It's the same situation when a ball hits a pin in the gutter. Is it up to the bowler to call it off?
It is, and most bowlers, I mean, certainly in front of a television audience and a live studio audience here, you know, they're certainly going to call it as honestly as they can. I remember one time last year, I think it involved Tom Morgan. We had a question about a shot, and we looked at the replay during the commercial break and made a change based on Tom realizing that he shouldn't have gotten the extra pin or whatever it was.
Mike Poulin in box 5 of the first string. Mike bowls out of the Bowlerama in Portsmouth. He lists as his hobbies golf, racquetball. He coaches basketball, and he plays bridge.
Very busy with his 3 sons, but now he's had a little more time to get back into bowling, and that's why you haven't seen him for a couple of years. He's just been awfully busy with family matters. Nashua used to be his home. He's a little bit further away now.
10 box for Mike Poulin, 66 through 6 boxes, 5 boxes rather.
Two, 4, 5 in the 7 with some wood to the right.
He'll take it. Took it the hard way, but it counts just the same. A spare for Mike Poulin in the 6th box. Now Chris Sargent, as you watch it again, watch the pin go flying off the right board and come across to pick up the 7 pin.
So it was the wood that was felled that actually took down the 7.
And Chris Sargent tries to respond, breaks up the split. And the 10 pin with wood surrounding it.
Could you make that shot, Dick?
I think I might be able to. If you gave me a couple of chances. If I had a mulligan. Spare for Chris Sargent. I'm a lefty, so it's coming from left to right.
That's an easier shot for you.
Easier shot for me.
Than the 7 pin, which is not the left-hander's friend.
I'm going to take you on one of these days, Michael.
I'm ready, baby.
9 pin fill in the spare, and the 10 pin still stands.
How many pins you want?
As many as I can get. What are you offering?
We'll talk.
Double mark for Chris Sargent.
And we have a dead even match after 6 frames. Both bowlers spare and 76 through 6.
Mike Poulin works on a mark. On the head pin, can't break up the spare. The wood is there, which could be helpful. 6 pins fill the spare. There it is.
Oh, nice.
Played the wood perfectly. You couldn't diagram it any better than Mike Poulin played that piece of wood. His 4th mark of the first string. Breaks up the split. Another spare opportunity, a chance for bonus money for Mike Poulin. He put 2 marks together in the first 2 boxes, failed to convert. This is worth $50. And he's got it.
In addition to bonus money, our winners now this season each will receive $50 gift certificate to Haverhill Beef Company on Merrimack Street in Haverhill. Thanks to Joe Terrazzano and his family for making those available to our bowlers this year on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Marinated sirloin tips, marinated chicken breast, sausage, all made and marinated right there at Haverhill Beef Company in Haverhill.
Chris Sargent looking for bonus money. He didn't leave himself a real good shot. There's a piece of wood out front. It certainly comes into play. How does he play it? Here it goes. Gave it a shot. The 7 and 10 still stand. 665, the roll-off score for Chris Sargent, as you see.
2-time pro tournament winner. His father has 3 titles. Mike Sargent.
And Chris will convert the 7-10 for $10. A 9-pin lead. You see that 7 and 10 go. You don't see it go very often, even with wood. Now Sargent up against another mark for Mike Poulin, tries to answer with one of his own.
Boy, an
Didn't
itch
have
either
much
way.
of an opening, but found it. 10 box, 101. Now Mike Poulin, who already has $50 in bonus money, looks to increase that total right now. He'll put 7 in the spare and leave a spare possibility.
Well, he's certainly going to outpace his best game of last week, which was 130.
Here's another spare and another $25.
Mike Poulin putting the pressure on early for Chris Sargent. This used to be the home bowling center for Mike Poulin. He knows it well and likes it.
Grabs the head pin, breaks the split. 6 in the spare.
Looking at a possible 150-plus game with a spare here and a decent fill in the 10th frame.
It's a doable shot. The wood out front, but he's a lefty coming at it from left to right, so he's got a real clean shot at the object pin. Played the wood and left the 8 pin. Still standing.
Yeah, Chris Sargent still needs a pair of marks to win.
He's at 142. A 143 first string for Mike Poulin. Not too shabby.
Much more energized first string than last week's first game of 116 for the Newington bowler. Most of our pro bowlers, Dick, start as children, 5, 6, 7 years old, as you and I did. Chris Sargent at age 29 has only been bowling 6 years.
Almost picks up the split.
And has accomplished quite a bit considering how competitive the field really is. With 2 Pro Tour titles, among other credits on his resume. So you can start at any time, pick up the game. Give it a shot this weekend at your local bowling center.
I want to acknowledge a letter that we received from Alice Tossey from Lynn, Massachusetts. And the gist of her 3-page letter is that Rich Clark of Bedford is her favorite bowler.
He put on quite a show last year, didn't he, in the Tournament of Champions?
He sure did.
Well, I imagine Rich Clark will be back again this year. He won the Tournament of Champions, also hit the triple strike pool for $1,375 in the, I guess it was a semi-final week of the Tournament of Champions.
A 121 first string for Chris Sargent, a 22-pin lead for Mike Poulin as you watch Mike Poulin as we go to the break between the first and second string of this Candlepin Stars and Strike match on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashville. We'll be right back. Ready to go to lead off string number 2 of our match with Chris Sargent and Mike Poulin. Mike Poulin with a 22-pin lead after the first string. And Chris Sargent leaves the 5 and the 10 standing right there. They both wobbled and they both stood.
And no wood to assist in the conversion.
They'll take the 5 first. And he'll proceed with the 10 box.
Dick, Chris Sargent last appeared on WNDS Candlepin Stars and Strikes Super Bowl Sunday earlier this year. He was a 3rd seed. He tied Tommy Morgan at 367 and then lost the 2-frame roll-off 26-14 in overtime. Close but no cigar for Chris Sargent last time here earlier in the year.
Average 129 for Chris. Another tough leave. We mentioned last week that a lot of our off-season correspondents dealt with the naming and the pronunciation and the spelling of Webster Lake. Real Dupuis from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, sent in a note with the spelling, which takes a couple of lines and a phonetic pronunciation. I'm not even going to try. But
you know, that'll start a whole avalanche of mail again about that lake.
Mr. Dupuis points out that he visited the lake and took a ride around it when he was 7 years old. He's now 87.
Wow.
Mr. Dupuis, thank you very much for writing in. Our mailing address is WNDS TV, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. Mike Poulin starts with a 9. Mr. Martin Damaris of Rochester, New Hampshire, writes in. And among the several questions he asks, can we have 1 string in French once a month?
Well, I took 3 years in high school and college, and I have a French name, but that's it. No French for you.
I was going to put that in your hands, Michael.
Yeah.
Mike Morin, it's right up your alley. No pun intended.
No.
There's a nice shot by Mike Poulin.
Let me get in touch with my good friend Celine Dion, who's bilingual. Maybe she'll come down and sit in as our guest commentator. Would you like that, Dick?
Absolutely.
Of course you would.
Positively. Once again, 3rd box in a row that Chris Sargent left split. This has some wood. Don't know if it's going to be much help.
Don't think so. That actually went better than I thought it was going to go. 4 pins still there.
That wasn't the one you'd expect to see standing. 10 box for Sargent.
Having a tough time getting started this game. With a 22-pin deficit to start the second match, he's already falling even further behind in this game with Mike Poulin showing a spare in the second.
There's a pocket shot and a strike for Chris Sargent in the 4th frame.
That'll make him smile. Chris hasn't had a whole lot to smile about so far, but he was beaming with that shot.
When you think about the Kahala Chinese restaurant right next to Leda Lanes in Nashville, you think about their terrific lunch and dinner buffet, and you think about their new selections, the specialties of the house, like Treasure Island. It's number 32, fresh lobster meat, shrimp, beef, chicken, sauteed mushrooms with vegetable in an island special sauce, then served in a crispy golden bird's nest. It's called Treasure Island. It's number 32. You look for it on the menu at the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge. It's right next door to Leda Lanes. So the next time you're in the Nashua area, out for shopping or for bowling or for just taking a ride, make sure you visit the Kahala. And they have a terrific luncheon buffet every day. It's just $5.95 from 11:45 to 2 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The dinner buffet, just $8.95 Thursdays, 5 to 8, and Sundays, right after bowling from noon to 8 p.m. The Kahala, 350 Amherst Street, Route 101A, right next door to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. If you're taking the Everett Turnpike, if you're coming from the south, it's exit 7W. If you're coming from the north, it's exit 8. You can't miss it. If you find Leda Lanes, you have found the Kahala Chinese Restaurant and Lounge. Mike Poulin looking over the split. And a little bit of banter with the crowd.
Asking, I guess, for a little advice. Oh, I'm not sure why he didn't ask us.
Maybe he's heard us before. Offer suggestions. This is the 5-10. Now it's just the 10. And there goes the 10 still standing. That was one of the suggestions from the crowd. So we'll go to the break. An open frame for Mike Poulin. Chris Sargent works on a strike when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Watch the strike thrown to here by Chris Sargent. Chris Sargent steps to lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. We are happy to have you with us for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, the 15th season of Candlepin Bowling on WNDS TV. Here's working on a strike, threw it in the pocket, and he left the 4 and the 10 with some wood. Looked like a real solid pocket shot, didn't it, Mike?
I thought it was a double. He's got such an explosive ball. Hoping that that first piece of deadwood rolls out a little bit closer to take a ricochet to the 4-pin. I don't think it will, though.
And that's what he tried to do. He sent that piece of wood right behind the 4-pin, but it didn't have the angle enough to take the 4-pin with it. So he'll put a 9 in the strike and get a 10 box. A 58 half for Chris Sargent.
I was talking earlier about him having been a bowler for just 6 years. What's even more amazing is he was the WCBC Rookie of the Year in 1993-94, which would have been either his first or second year. Just even bowling at all, which is really astounding. He has so much natural talent. And at age 29, he's got many good years ahead of him.
And bowling's in the family, and he started
That's right.
late.
Mike Sargent was, I believe, a bowler of the year at one point. I have to double check that. But his father, Mike, has 3 titles. Chris has 2.
10 box for Chris, 68 through 6. And Mike Poulin will stand on lane 34. Joe Smith from Woburn, Massachusetts, writes in about the lob rule, which we addressed earlier. And he enjoys the show and wouldn't miss it every week, especially when the Morgans are on. He's won a few championships in his time, but he would hate to have to face either one of them in a match. Mike and Tom Morgan, of course, year after year among the favorites of the viewers of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Thanks to Joe Smith of Woburn, Massachusetts, for writing in. And if you're a fan of Tom Morgan, you saw him appear on our show 7 times last year and 7 times the year before. So no doubt the Morgan boys will be back. This is the first of 6 ladders this season. And as we mentioned last week, whoa, that for a shot. And you saw the reaction from Mike Poulin. Watch it again. Beautiful cut shot. He will have an opportunity at bonus money when he comes back up to the line. I was just about to mention that we have mixed doubles scheduled for you again, beginning the day after Christmas and running into the middle of January. 4 weeks of the men and women in the doubles format. The bucket is up there now, and 2 of the 4 go down. A 9 box for Chris Sargent, 77 through 7. We tape our shows the second Tuesday of every month at Leda Lanes in Nashua. We begin about 10 o'clock in the morning. If you would like to join us, we would love to have you with us.
We'll be taping this Tuesday. Glad you mentioned that, Dick. This is Columbus Day weekend. We'll be taping on Tuesday the 12th.
And if you're interested in getting involved in a roll-off, I would suggest that you give the people at Leda Lanes a call. They'll have all of the information about when the next roll-off is scheduled and how you could earn a shot on our Candlepin Stars and Strikes program in the months ahead. Another 10 box for Chris Sargent.
Don't know if you knew, Mike Poulin, who we'll be looking at here in just a second, won the Leda Lanes Easter Tournament in 1997, and this year, in April, led after the first 10 strings. It's a 20-string event, very grueling, but big money tournament, $5,000 first prize. Won at 97, but did not win this year, although he led after 10 strings.
Well, that was almost a quarter Worcester, but it bounced back and took a couple with it.
Oops.
Eleanor Nocted from Winthrop, Massachusetts writes in, Mike, some time ago you mentioned a bowling establishment in upstate New York that had purchased a Candlepin system from an alley closing in New Hampshire. The name of the town is Kingston, New York, about 50 miles below Albany on the Hudson River. The name of the bowling alley is Hobowl on the Hill. They have 44 alleys, of which 12 are Candlepin. This past weekend, this letter was dated in April. This past weekend, we went home to Kingston and took our son and his family Candlepin bowling. How to score using the third ball confuses them. I had a discussion with the gentleman on duty at the alley. He said that it had generated some interest, but not much. We were there on a Sunday night, and we're the only ones bowling Candlepin. I think I've sparked some interest in my grandson. Maybe he'll spread the word. Thanks to Eleanor Nocton of Winthrop, Massachusetts, for that nice note.
Thank you very much. I believe the bowling center in Londonderry is where those lanes came from, if I recall correctly. And I think in most parts of the country, Candlepin bowling is probably viewed as more of a curiosity than anything else. I know when I have company in from the Midwest, which is where I'm from, everybody is kind of amused by the game. And the interesting thing is, it's not as easy as it looks. The equipment is much easier to handle than 10 pins, but it's a tough game, and the scoring is much lower.
You look at that little ball, and you see the pins, and you see the wood laying down. You have to try to say, hey, this is going to be a piece of cake.
Then you see a guy that hits the head pin and leaves the 5 pin, the whole middle row, 4, 5, and 6.
Chris Sargent trying to convert. Will he get the roll? Not quite.
Now, these are new pins. The bottoms are all nice and flat. You're going to get true pinfall today.
Another 10 box.
Any idea how much a
Chris Sargent
Candlepin costs?
A pin itself?
Pin itself. I suppose it depends on how many you buy, but
probably you buy 10 at a time, I suspect.
Wise guy.
Breaks up the spread eagle. How much is a Candlepin?
Well, here anyway, over $17 each.
17 bucks.
And you figure 36 lanes, and there's 20 pins in a rack, because you've always got to have 10 ready to come down. So that's some serious money. So a lot of the proprietors aren't replacing the pins every year.
What are they made of?
It's plastic.
It's 100%
injection molding, or I don't know the exact terminology, but
7 box for Chris Sargent.
Tough day at the office for Chris.
A 104 second string. So actually, we're not talking about dead wood, we're talking about dead plastic.
That's very true. I think plastic came into play in the 60s.
Mike Poulin looking for a mark to extend his lead. He won't get it here. Both bowlers having problems marking here in this second string. Chris Sargent just had 1 mark for his 104. A strike back in the 4th frame. And now an 8 box for Mike Poulin.
This would have been a golden opportunity for Mike Poulin to just run away with it, but he's staying even with Chris. Had a 22-pin advantage coming into this match, and now nearly even in this one, so it's going to be about a 20-pin difference again.
That's 13 plus whatever he gets in this box, and will it be a strike? It wobbles, it stands. Wood is in front of it. I'm not sure how far in front of it it is. It should carry the pin.
Should, yeah. That's the key word.
And he takes the spare in the 10th frame. So he will extend his lead in the match. The lead is now 23 pins plus whatever he gets on this ball. So Mike Poulin, closing out the second string, will add to his advantage. Not by much. A 3-pin fill on the spare, a 26-pin lead in the match for Mike Poulin as we head to the third string of this second match in our first ladder series of our 15th season. On Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, we continue on WNDS TV. Mike Poulin will lead us off in our third and final string of this second match of the first ladder series with a 26-pin lead over Chris Sargent. Neither bowler lit it up in the second string. 108 for Poulin, 104 for Sargent. Poulin opened up with a 143 in the first string, with Sargent putting a 121 on the board. And a spread eagle for Mike Poulin.
Yeah, WCBC is in action this afternoon at Park Place Lanes. They started yesterday and will wrap up this afternoon. If you'd like to see some more bowling, live and in person, head over to Park Place Lanes on Route 28 in Wyndham, just a little bit north of 111.
Got a nice note from Eugene Snell from Sarasota, Florida. Michael?
Are we having people pirating more of our shows?
We're big in Sarasota. Dear Dick and Mike, hello again from Sarasota. The weather here is still in the 80s. Again, this is from April. Perfect weather. I'm writing again to tell you what happened. My daughter was taping the shows. Her tape deck died and caused him to miss one whole ladder of bowling. She purchased another tape deck and is recording again. He saves all the tapes. He'll probably get the series he missed when we start the reruns in the summer. You'll have a good chance at that, that's for sure. Well, thank you for your loyalty and dedication to Candlepin bowling. I used to bowl in a bowling league at Tony Leo's Metro Bowl in Peabody. And he PS's the letter, Gene and Marion Snell with a PS. I think the best bowler in New England is Tom Olsta. And
yes,
we have news on Tom.
Not sure that he's still in the area. I'll have to double check on that. But Eugene, thank you for writing. Thank you for watching. And how about a crate of navel oranges for Dick and I to show your appreciation for.
Yeah, how much do you really like us?
That's right. Grapefruit is good too.
Well, Sargent opens with a 6, matching the Mike Poulin 6 in the first box. So both bowlers having problem finding the range. And that won't grab the head pin either.
Can I go down and slap those guys and get them going?
And that's a great shot for a spare. That'll do it. That'll wake everybody up.
I guess the thought of being slapped was enough to
watch
get
it again. Watch the pins fly from right to left here. Here it comes. There they go. Taking down the back row. Great spare for Chris Sargent, who needs to put a couple of marks together to come back at Mike Poulin. Poulin leaves the 4 horsemen on the right side plus the 7-pin.
Our runner-up gets $175 for his effort today. Our winner goes on next week to meet Bruno DeFeo and receives from the Haverhill Beef Company in Haverhill a $50 gift certificate. Thanks to the Haverhill Beef Company, the Terrazzano family, for making that available to our winners this season on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
And don't forget the bonus ball contest after every match. You have an opportunity to participate by sending in a postcard with your name, address, and you pick the number of balls that you would expect our winning bowler to knock down. It can be from 0 to 10, and you see one right there. with Mike Poulin striking in the 4th frame. And you can send your postcard to Leda Lanes, 340 Amherst Street, Nashua, New Hampshire. And we will have your card put in the big vat here, and Mike Morin will draw a card out after every match, and maybe it'll be yours. And you'll have a chance to win the bonus ball contest, a cash prize or a consolation prize. 03063 is the zip code here at Leda Lanes in Nashua.
We have some wood that's out in front of the deadwood line that's being picked up by scorer Chris Bovair, so that Chris Sargent could make his shot.
Chris put 7 in the spare and will not make another spare. Pins flying all over the place, but not in the right place. And that'll be a 9 box for Chris Sargent. And he's up against a Mike Poulin strike in the 4th frame. Mike Poulin with a 26-pin lead coming into the string. And Chris Sargent trying to stay close. This is a makeable spare for Chris Sargent. He cannot afford to miss too many like this. That one he makes, he converts. So both bowlers have marks as we go to the break. Mike Poulin works on a strike when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Mike Poulin stands on lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. He's working on a strike. His lead in the match is 20 pins. Well, the wood in the middle could help if it doesn't roll too far away. The 3 on the left are the 2, 4, and 7. The 10 pin on the right corner. And the wood in the middle can't hurt him. Mike studies it. He's very deliberate at looking over these spare leaves. And there's the shot. That's a nice shot by Mike Poulin.
And tacking it onto a strike.
Watch it again. He played it perfectly. Watch that ball carry into the dead wood and the wood carry into the 10 pin. Played it perfectly, and now he has an opportunity for some more bonus money. Right on the head pin. There's the strike and $50 in bonus money for Mike Poulin. Watch it again. That wood coming all the way across the deck to sweep away, what was it, Michael, the 4 pin or the 2? The 4 pin was the last to go. Now the pressure on Chris Sargent as he works on a spare. That's responding to pressure right there.
Strike on spare.
An opportunity for bonus money for Chris Sargent. Watch this strike. Good late action there again, kicking away the 8 pin, which was the last to fall.
He will not go quietly.
Punched it through. The spread eagle +1.
Well, there's a momentum stopper, huh? After a couple of great marks back to back. Tough fill for a strike. 4.
And a 7 box for Chris Sargent. So he put a couple of marks together, then hit a wall. Now Mike Poulin with 3 marks is working on a strike. Looking for additional bonus money here. Every mark is worth $25. And will the 7 pin go? It will not yet. Wait a minute, it might still go. Here it goes. That's a $25 shot right there, but this one coming up is worth $525. Watch it again. If we have time before Mike steps to the line, we do. Watch that piece of wood come over.
Well, it went down. Take our word for it.
All right, here's Mike looking for 3 strikes in a row. $525. Not gonna happen.
Could have been. The lone 8-pin stand surrounded by wood. But it looks like there's a clear shot.
He'll take another $25.
Pretty much putting this match away by virtue of 5 consecutive marks. 3 strikes and 2 spares for Mike Poulin. Showing why he loves Leda Lanes, where he spent most of his career.
Chris Sargent now tries to respond, but it's an uphill battle for Chris. He'll take a 10 box. And another solid pocket shot, but the 9 and the 10 still stand with some wood. Mike Poulin's going to take about a 50-pin lead into the final 2 boxes. Mike's already at 376 plus a ball. Couldn't pick up the spare.
Chris Sargent, winner of the Tournament of Champions on WNDS in 1995, and beat Gary Carrington in 1996 in a match that was never aired. But nevertheless, he did win.
93 through 8 for Chris Sargent, and now Mike Poulin with a chance for some more bonus money. He has $175 in bonus money in the match already. Can't break up the split there. Put 7 in the spare at 132.
He made that earlier, by the way, today. That same shot.
65-pin lead in the match for Mike Poulin. This match is just about over. And there's a 10 box.
And that's the kind of day it's been for Mike Poulin. Catching some good breaks and making some really good solid shots. And we're looking at a 400 here. Whoops. Well,
he's at 393. Needs a 7 box for 400. There it is. So it'll be a 400 for Mike Poulin. Finishes with a 151 and a 402 for Mike Poulin.
Well, he knew he had to bowl better than last week, but I don't think he realized that Chris Sargent would bowl as low as he has today, surprising many of us.
Well, Chris is trying to finish with a couple of marks and go out with a little bit of a flurry, but he'll take a spare in the 9th frame.
Best he could do would be 153. Not make that 143. Just give him 371. 471. Oh, 371.
Put a 6 in the mark. So it'll be Mike Poulin advancing. He'll beat Chris Sargent. We'll come back to meet the bowlers at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, when we continue with Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We're back right after this. What a difference a week makes. Last week it was Mike Poulin beating Jim Gergaitis 359 to 354. Mike Poulin really warmed up this week.
Well, he did. He kicked it into the next level, which I think he knew he had to do. Missed a few spares that he should have had last week. This week put together his marks in bunches. I think he had a string of 5, 3 strikes and 2 spares in the final string, which really pretty much put the match out of reach for Chris Sargent, but he'll be back. That I'm confident of.
402 to 341. Let's bring up our runner-up this afternoon, Chris Sargent from Haverhill, Massachusetts. Chris, you ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw there.
Well, did I ever? I knew after last week they had it tough. I knew he was coming out this week, so I had to get going.
Well, we've got a check for $175 for you as runner-up, and congratulations. We'll look forward to seeing you again. Chris Sargent from Haverhill, Massachusetts, our runner-up here this afternoon. Now Mike Poulin will roll a bonus ball for us on lane 33, and we'll try to match him up with a winner at home. Go ahead, Mike. He continues his red-hot bowling. Boy, he's on fire. Don't touch this guy. Let's pull out a card there, Michael, and see if we can match it up. Nope. Sophie Bezardetsky of Hooksett picked 5 pins. She was only a half right. Sophie, we have a consolation prize from N&R Trophies of Winchendon, Massachusetts for you, and we have a 10-string gift certificate right here at Leda Lanes to Francis Atlas of Chelsea, Massachusetts. And Mike Poulin, congratulations.
Thank you.
A 402 for you. We have, again, a $50 gift certificate to Haverhill Beef. You're going to be eating a lot of good beef. And what's the difference from last week to this week? A $359 last week and $400 this week.
Chris Sargent, you best bring your A game with him. I know he went through the middle all day today, but if they don't ask it, he was right there. It's one of those things. I've done that many times myself. But if you don't bowl good against Chris, I bowled with him against him in the Worlds. After 5 boxes, he had more than I did for 10. The guy can bowl, believe me.
Is there anything you did differently last week to this week? Any adjustments that you make?
No, I think I was looser. Being we're rotating shows here, I think I'm a little looser. We'll see what happens after lunch.
After lunch. Thanks again, Mike Poulin. Congratulations to you. He climbs the ladder with a 402 to 341 victory over Chris Sargent here this afternoon, and up the ladder we go.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. Bruno DeFeo, who's been on a pretty good hot streak himself here the last couple of years, will be our bowler next week, and then 2 weeks from today, the top of the ladder will be Bob Betancourt.
It's our 15th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV, and we're looking forward to seeing you again next time. For Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV 50 crew from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, I'm Dick Lutz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. So long, everyone.